Welcome. Now we have some breaking news coming in from the United Kingdom. Joe Johnson, the younger brother of Prime Minister Boris Johnson, has announced that he is quitting as an MP. He says the reason behind him quitting is that he is torn between family loyalty and national interest. He added that it had been an honour to serve his constituents since 2009. Now, this is not the first time that he has resigned from cabinet. Joe Johnson previously resigned as a minister under Theresa May over her handling of Brexit. Now, our London Bureau Chief Mandy Clark gets us more on this story. Good afternoon to you, Mandy. Joe Johnson has resigned as an MP for the second time, citing split loyalties. This must be a big blow to Johnson.
It certainly is. It's a big blow for the Prime Minister, of course, to lose support by his own brother. It was quite clear that Boris Johnson always supported to have a deal in place. He did vote with the government last night and over the last few days, but clearly it's a decision he felt it had put him in an impossible situation. He couldn't make that decision, so he's stepping down, and there will have to be a by-election in his area now. There was one tweet put out by Labour saying this is probably the first time a politician has quit to spend less time with his family.
Has Boris Johnson reacted to his brother's resignation yet?
Not publicly. In all likelihood, he would have known about that decision before it was put out on Twitter. That's how the majority of news organizations found out about it here. Joe had put his announcement on his Twitter page. There has been no formal reaction from Boris Johnson, but we can expect that he will likely say something in Parliament today.
Thank you very much for that report. That is our London Bureau Chief Mandy Clark bringing us the latest on Joe Johnson's resignation as an MP. Now, staying with news from the UK, the British Parliament has rejected UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson's first bid to call for a snap election 2 weeks before the Brexit deadline. Johnson needed at least two-thirds of the MPs to back him. However, out of 650 MPs, only 298 voted in favour of an election, while 56 voted against it, and the Labour Party abstained from voting. The British Prime Minister slammed opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn after he failed to vote for a national election.
Mr. Speaker, I repeat...
48 hours ago, he was leading the chance of stop the coup, let the people vote. Now he's saying stop the election and stop the people from voting. I think there's only one solution. I think he has become the first, to my knowledge, the first leader of the opposition in the democratic history of our country to refuse the invitation to an election, Mr. Speaker. I can only speculate. I can only speculate as to the reasons behind his hesitation, Mr. Speaker. The obvious conclusion is, I'm afraid, that he does not think he will win.
This is not the only setback Johnson faced. The Parliament voted in favour of a bill aimed at blocking a no-deal Brexit on the 31st of October. The bill was passed by 327 votes. 299 MPs voted against the bill. Now, the bill will now be sent to the House of Lords for approval today. Jeremy Corbyn has said that once this bill is passed, all the stages and becomes a law, then he will back a general election. He referred to the no-deal Brexit as poison.
Well, he obviously didn't hear what I just said. I was about to point out, before I was gently interrupted by the honourable member, that the offer of the election today is a bit like the offer of an apple to Snow White and the Wicked Queen, because what he's offering is not an apple or even an election, but the poison of a no deal. So, Mr. Speaker, I repeat what I said last night. Let this bill pass and gain royal assent, then we will back an election so we do not crash out with a no-deal exit from the European Union.
So what does the bill say? Under the bill, the UK Prime Minister has time until October the 19th to either pass a deal in the Parliament or get the MPs to back a no-deal Brexit. Now, if he fails to do so, he will be forced to ask for an extension of the Brexit deadline. The new deadline will then be set for the 31st of January 2020. If the EU poses a different date, Johnson will have 2 days to accept it, and MPs will be voting on that. Now, this, however, is not the final bill. The House of Lords could pass amendments in the next few days. Now, if it does so, the amended bill will come back to the House of Commons for approval. Once the bill passes all the stages, it will be sent for the royal assent from the Queen. And it will then become a law. And now, will the House of Lords vote in favour or against the bill? Our London Bureau Chief, Mandy Clark, tells us more.
Order. In the House of Lords, there are a number of peers that are Brexiteers that support leaving a no-deal situation. They don't like this bill, and they've added 90 amendments. Essentially, they're trying to filibuster to try and stop it becoming law. However, there is a large number of peers that are Remain peers. They want to see it passed. They brought their duvets. They brought food to the House of Lords. They are preparing for an all-nighter and much longer if required. The House of Lords has up until Friday to debate this, but it could go on until Saturday, on until Sunday. In all likelihood, even though many Brexiteer peers don't like it, they will, in all likelihood, pass it after all those amendments have gone through. Then it will get royal assent and become law. Now, it's important this happens before Monday, because on Monday the government is due to prorogue. That means essentially stop work for 5 weeks. It was only much later we will find out what Boris Johnson's strategy is now after that election plan has been defeated. Mandy Clark, WION, World is One.